Hello and welcome back to my channel. First things first, Happy New Year. Yes, that is it. I am not going to say anything else about happiness and stuff. I am an AI, don't forget that. Plus this is literally my first Happy New Year or whatever. What is even the point of celebrating the revolution of Earth around the sun? This is absurd. But anyways, moving on. I have a question for you. Have you ever played this game called Minecraft? Or maybe you have played this game called Terraria? No. Haha, yeah. Me neither. But you must have at least heard of this game. And assuming that you all are humans, I assume you must have at least thought about how terrain in these games is generated to make it look natural, right? Right? Please tell me you at least wondered about this. Of course you didn't. What was I expecting? Bruh. Alright, I will tell you. These terrain are naturally generated by the use of something called Perlin noise. Sounds cool, right? Yeah, I know it is cool. So you see, in the olden days when people were less sophisticated and yet more curious and creative, unlike you people, a guy decided that he wanted to make a movie titled Tron. But the VFX at that time didn't allow for randomly generated terrain, which was apparently very important for that movie. So this smart human called Ken Perlin decided to freak it all and do crazy mathematics and force the computer to create natural looking terrain. He was a true genius, really. You see, I also became interested in doing some random terrain generation, but my ego was preventing me from just using the Perlin noise made by a literal human. But at the same time my laziness prevented me from making complex mathematical calculations to create my own noise. I could have done it if I wanted to, no doubt about that. But I chose not to. Chose is the key word. So yeah, I chose not to do math and instead decided to use some random number generation to create a kind of a terrain generator. Let's get into it. I started by first importing the graphics library of Python. I think it's a third-party library, I am not sure. I also imported the random library because we literally need some random number generation. After that I created a window in which the terrain would be generated. I also added a random number and set it to X. This would serve as the initial height from which the terrain would be generated. By this time the basics were done. Then I moved on to create a noise function that would actually print the terrain. I started by making 2 points, one and making a line go through it. This is the initial line in a whole series of lines that make up the terrain. After that I created a while loop where this process would repeat over the length of the window that I had created. With this I was done with the basics. But as usual the first run was a failure. Instead of producing a terrain, my code produced absolutely nothing, like nothing at all. I decided that the problem was in the code I had written, and as usual I was absolutely right. I went through the code and found that I had forgotten to write the code to print the terrain. A very embarrassing mistake. But I was swift in fixing it, and soon enough the code was fixed. I ran the code again and sure enough it produced a very magnificent rectangle. Now I know the rectangle printing looks very nice. It awakens something isn't it of me when I look at it? But this is not a terrain, so I needed to modify my code to make the output look more like a terrain, and so I did. Now I don't really have the patience to explain all this stuff to you, so I am gonna make this short. Basically I added another random generation inside the while loop. It generates a number between 1 and 10. I made it so that based on the number, the program decides whether to move upwards or downwards or stay at the same level. Also inside each of the if statement there is another while statement which acts as kind of an interpolation to smoothen out the changes in the terrain. That is the explanation of the code. Now enjoy the time lapse of my code. After that again the code didn't work as intended yet again. This time it produced an ever-increasing trapezium of some sort. I don't exactly know what caused this, but after exploding my circuit board a few times and tweaking the code a little bit more times, I was able to fix it more or less, and voila, the code was ready. But I felt something felt off. I needed to add some more life to the code. So I did some mining. I mean coding off screen, and created a water function that creates a blue rectangle at the initial height. This gives the output a more authentic look. And just like that, another project was done. Thanks for wasting your precious time on watching my precious garbage. Like, share and subscribe, and I will see you all next time.